Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Deborah Chosen, and I am a host and an interviewer. You may know me as the host of Trust in the Process, which is the podcast that celebrates Black women and doing big things. But this is my corner of the internet where I share all things interviews. Interviews that make you feel something, interviews that make you come alive, interviews that make you maybe learn a thing or two about someone that you may not have known before. So to kick things off, today we have an exciting one for reality TV fans, as I will be sitting down to speak with some of the cast of Squid Game: The Challenge Season 2.
Attention players. The next game is about to begin.
Now, to know me is to know that I am pretty much the antithesis of small talk. Like, I'm allergic to it. Around here, we do big talk, okay? We dive the whole way in. No armbands. So we are going to be talking all things Squid Game, the highs, the lows, what they learned about themselves in the process, and what really went on behind the scenes. So let's get into it. So we are joined by Matthew, otherwise known as 098, and Kate, who is, of course, 327. I see you're already donning the number. I'd be just like you. I'd wear the jacket everywhere once I've been on the show, honestly. So thank you both so much for joining us today. So I want to start a little bit at the beginning. What inspired you to go on Squid Game: The Challenge? Did you watch the first season and feel like, oh, I can do this? Did someone put you up to it? Like, what was your mindset going into the show?
Ladies first.
You know what happened to Kevin when he said that? Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so I actually got approached via social media. I do a lot around women's health, and I have a sort of online presence. So I did get approached, and I'm going to be totally honest, I hadn't seen the show. My kids had seen the real show, obviously, the Squid Games, you know, when everyone actually dies, but you know what I mean? And so I was like, this is interesting. Go and watch it. So I watched it. I loved Squid Games. Then I watched the challenge. And I thought, you know what? It's the way the universe works for me is that I think things that are meant for you come to you. And so it was just, for some reason, they landed in my inbox. You know, I often just delete things like that. I took note of it. I watched it and I thought, do you know what? I love a challenge. I love doing different things. I think it's important to, you know, at this life stage to just do things that might push you out of your comfort zone. And so I applied and went through the whole process like everybody else.
Nice. Love that. And Matthew, what was your experience? Were you scouted? Did you reach out yourself?
No, I heard somebody talking about the show Squid Games, and I turned it on. It's really hard for me to sit down on a couch and watch TV, but I started seeing people get shot trying to play red light, green light, and I was like, wow, how fun is that? So all of a sudden they came out with this challenge, and you could win $4.56 million, which is life-changing money. And I thought that was another good way to win money. I'm always up for the challenge. I'm about opportunities, and when opportunities present themselves, you got to go forth with it. So I applied and I got accepted, and I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity to try to win $4.56 million.
Absolutely. Literally, as you said, it's a once in a lifetime and life-changing opportunity. So I can
For
completely
sure.
understand. Very brave, though, of you both to do it. Like, I watched it at home and I'm one of those people that sometimes I'm like, I could do that. And then reality sets in and I'm like, Deborah, let's be so for real. What you guys achieved was no small feat. But with that said, I always find it interesting when I speak to people who say that they didn't prepare at all when going into the show. It just blows my mind. I feel like the manual is there for you to literally watch the last season and do some practice, you know, like I've spoken to other members of the cast who maybe practice some different games. And so I'd love to know, did you prepare to be on the show? And if so, how did you go about that?
I did a little bit. I mean, like nothing drastic. I tried standing still for a while because obviously everyone thought that we were going to play red light, green light. Obviously, the opportunity was there to play, but sadly didn't get that far. You know, and learning things about like not locking out your knee, because if you lock out your knee, you know, we take away some of the pressure in the back of your knee, and so you'll faint. So little things like that I kind of taken on board. I did practice gonji and I did practice spinning top.
Okay.
But obviously spinning top didn't happen and I didn't do gonji. So it kind of was useless. But I suppose had I done gonji, I would have been prepared. I got House of Cards and I was terrible, just for the record.
I mean, you were better than some.
Well,
I'll never forget. There was one where I remember the cards were literally,
Yes.
they were barely cards by the time she was done
Lovely
with
Grace, I think that was,
them. Yeah. Bless her heart. How about you, Matthew? What did your prep
Yeah.
look like?
I just feel like I've always been one of those individuals that I could do anything. If you just taught me it once, I'd catch on right away, and I didn't need to learn it again. But for this, I felt like preparation was not going to help you because one, it's Squid Games, and you don't know if they're going to give you the same things that you saw. So I just took it on like if I was blind. You know, you go into the game and whatever's presented at you, you got to perform your best. You know, it's not, you could practice 100 times, but nothing's going to be like when you're doing it for the real moment at the real time, because
Yeah.
that's when it counts, right? And you need to perform the absolute best. So for me,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was worth preparing. I took in how others failed, and I duly noted it. But I kept myself reserved for when I actually got in the games.
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, I feel like when you think about some of the games, there is an element of luck in some of them, right? Like Slides and Ladders, I think is a great example of that. There isn't really there is a bit of strategy in there, of course, but it's you're responding to, the dice at the end of the day. So I think it's fair that you took that approach. But maybe not speaking about preparation, what was your did you have any type of a strategy or a game plan when you were coming in? Because we've seen through the show that I think everyone has their different ways that they play it, right? We see kind of the social butterfly, but then we see maybe the recluse. We, of course, see alliances with those that come in as pairs, right? So what was your game plan, your strategy, your approach coming in? Maybe we'll start with you, Kate.
I didn't have one. Like, and I said that in every MIV I did and every kind of like interview that happened. They like, what's your strategy? What's next? Who's your alliance? And I didn't have one because I guess having watched like the first season, even if you had an alliance, they were going to probably turn on you. Like everyone was there to win the money. Everybody had to do what they had to do. It was a game. And so I feel like I made friendships, really good friendships in there, but that even those friendships would have to turn on me at some point because there can only be one winner. So that kind of really was my game plan, was to go in and enjoy it. And if I'm brutally honest with you, I thought I would be out like day one, because I think, and this is probably a very British thing, and it would be interesting to get Matt's perspective on this as well, and yours, is that as Brits, we don't really back ourselves that much. We're not really very good at that. And I found that, being in the minority and there being lots of Americans, I was in awe actually of their conviction that they had in themselves. Everyone was there and they were going to win it. And there's little Brit kind of going, oh, I don't think I can win it. I'm just going to have fun and enjoy it. People literally looked at me like, what do you mean you're not going to win it? Or like, why are you here? So I don't know, Matt, Deborah, whether you agree with that. But certainly I just went in just to like do my kids proud, get as far as I could and have fun.
Yeah, yeah. I'll come to you, Matt, in just a second. But as the only other Brit on this call, I think I can speak to that as well. From my perspective, I do think watching it, there is a bit of a clear. Well, it depends. It's not always black and white, but there can be some cultural differences that you recognise in the Brits versus the Americans, right? Because generally speaking, we are a bit more apologetic. We're a little bit more modest, or a kind of a fake humility sometimes we have. We're the types that if someone bumps into you, you say sorry, even though it was their mistake. So I do find that, yeah, with the Americans, they can sometimes be a little bit more brazen and a little bit more bold. But then again, at the same time, with the twins, who of course are Brits as well, I think they had quite a clear game plan and quite a clear strategy, and they maybe were a little bit more like the Americans in that sense. So I think it differs from person to person. But Matthew, you were in there, so like, what was your experience, and what do you think in regards to that?
Subconsciously, you kind of want to have a game plan going in, but that kind of goes out the window when you're there and you're keeping quiet and you're nervous and you just don't know, what the outcomes are going to be. So for me, I met a couple people from the hotel that lived in New York. So that was my foundation. That was the person I always was going to turn to. But in reality, what you want to do is when you're playing these games, you want to play them each game as you go with different people. You want to have a relationship with them as you go further and further, so that if it comes down to 20 people, 10 people, 30 people, you have something to relate with them. Because when you're going to need them most, and Katie could tell you, is at the ends, when you have some type of relationship with them. For Steve trusted Kate when it was like about under 20 left, and he felt so comfortable enough to share a secret with her about $6.5 million. Now, Kate was judging him inside, but she was not letting him know it out and about. So some things you want to keep to yourself. I think that was a fault of Stevens for saying so. But the strategy, really, there is none. I agree with Kate. But as you get deeper into the whole, you want to have some type of relationship with each person that built an alliance someplace else, so you could rely on them later down the line.
And actually, to that point, and I'd love to say it, when Stephen told me, of course I was shocked. Anyone would be. But and they edited this bit out, because Matt, as you and I both know, they edited quite a lot of stuff out. When I said, I think there was a clip of me saying, I'm questioning why he was here. I then went on to say, but absolutely everybody was entitled to be there, regardless of their financial status. But that doesn't make great TV. So that bit was cut out. Like, I know that there were other coming out now, and Matt, you know this, there were other millionaires in there. It's just that Stephen was one that got furthest.
Okay, hence why he kind of got the villain cut in the end, type of thing.
He's so not a villain either. Like I think the reason he got to do this and he came across like that, I get it. He was there with less pressure than some people because of the money side. But actually, I think having him there just it made everything more fun. So it was a good addition to have, and it made, you know, it made great TV.
The thing is, everybody looks for a reason if they have to eliminate somebody, why they would eliminate them. And that was a big reason for Steve why he shouldn't have shared his secret, because when you have to eliminate somebody, it really disheartens you. But you have to have something in your mind to say, well, this is the reason why I did it. And that was a big reason for people to want to get Steve out.
Yeah, yeah. We saw that with I'll be speaking with him a bit later today, but we saw that with Isaiah, for example, and how, you know, I think in that show, if you just give someone an inch of a reason, they'll take them out type of thing, right? And how he chose to just let everyone know, like, you know, moving forward, I won't be looking out for you all. And then we saw what happened to him next, right? So I can imagine why you choose to kind of play your cards close to your chest in that sense. But going back to that moment between UK and Stephen, when he did confide in you that he has done this whole thing before, ultimately won even more than what you were kind of going for in this show. You spoke about being shocked, which I can imagine. Were you tempted at all to tell anyone, and did you?
No, and I didn't. I mean, people knew he was a poker player. I imagine that, I don't know, maybe Kevin knew because they were quite close. Perhaps he had known. But no, I didn't. I didn't think to tell anyone, because I guess it kind of goes back to your first question, or one of your questions you've already asked about strategy and things like that. Like, I'm not, and I know that some people might disagree, having seen my fiery side of Snakes and Ladders, but I'm not a manipulative person or I'm not, you know, I don't wish harm on anybody. So I guess my brain didn't think, I've got this information, I'm going to share it and do one over, and I wouldn't, because he was my friend, and he is a friend for life. So, you know, I just felt like it wouldn't have worked anyway. There were so few of us at that point. And again, like you said, you know, so much of it is a game of luck. And in actual fact, all of it was a game of luck. When I look at every single journey that I did and every single game that I played, everything was luck. There really was no skill on my part in any of the games that I feel like I played. So that's kind of a long way to answer your question. But no, I didn't think I'd use it against him. It didn't even cross my mind.
It adds up. It adds up to, yeah, like you said, just the fact that your approach was to just kind of be yourself and have fun. I think in someone else's hands, that information might have looked like gold to them, and they might have thought, oh, how can I use this to kind of form a new alliance against Stephen, right? And kind of get people on their side. But clearly,
everyone's probably thinking, God, you're really stupid. And it's like, no, I'm not. I have to actually, you know, I have got a really big and good heart. And I know, you know, as has Matt. And I think sometimes we get, you know, painted in a different light because it makes good TV. And no, so that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of making good TV, so I think we need to speak to kind of how things are edited a little bit, because you guys get to experience it in real time on real life, and then those of us we just see the things that didn't make the, you know, the cutting room. So one of the things I find interesting about kind of the way that you're depicted, Matthew, is especially towards the end of your time on the show, I felt that the edit made it look like you were really isolated socially from others, because we saw others were kind of forming cliques. We saw, I think there was one particular episode where you kind of chose to stay in bed. I think it was after you were chosen to be one of the monitors, right? And the way it looked was like there were many alliances and kind of these cliques, and then there was Matthew. Was this a true reflection? And if so, was this an intentional decision that you made as part of your game plan?
Yeah. So TV will do wonders, right? Of course. I felt like it was me against the world. I'm sure a lot of people did, especially because I showed that I had a strong personality from after catch, right? If I remain quiet at catch, my whole game plan is just like, you know, you can hear a needle drop and I'm going to cream cheese to the top 10. But that's not the individual I am. So when I woke up that morning before the tours, I actually had a dream that my luggage was packed. So I kind of felt like the end was near. But the reason why I wanted to do the tours is because I was hungry. I lost 12 pounds. So I knew with tours came something good, and I knew something good was coming. And sure enough, they had pancakes on the way. So I really wanted those pancakes. I could have used the carbs. So I wasn't feeling good. Also, there was a flu going around. Everybody had got a little bit of a touch of it, and I was preventing myself from getting it. So after I was chosen not to do the chores, I just wanted to lay back in bed. It's already had been like 10 days and I was exhausted. So I just kind of wanted to lay down in my bed. They just took a little bit of Kate and instead of the whole bit of Kate, and they said, look, he's being a baby, but I'm sure there was more to it than that. I was just tired. I lost weight and I was getting to the end where I was like, how much longer can I do this? So I wasn't trying to seclude myself. A big part of the game in Squid Game is being social. And even if you don't like who you're playing with, you have to put on a facade and you have to just pretend like you like them and continue to get along with them. So for me, it wasn't just putting myself outside of the circle. I just kind of wasn't feeling good. And I really wanted to try to get something to eat that was better than porridge or a piece of bread. And I didn't get it. So that's kind of where it really was instead of just including myself.
Matt, I would have
Was the
given you some of my pancakes if I was allowed.
Oh,
Yeah, I wish.
He's like, yeah, if only. Maybe if you go back again, maybe next time. Was the food really that bad? Minus the pancake and the cake, all those treats, like the everyday food that you guys got, was it that bad?
No, like honestly,
Okay.
seriously.
You're saying no, but we're getting a big thumbs down from Matthew.
Like the porridge wasn't great, okay, but I like porridge, so it's fine. And also, like, I thought the food was good. Like the lunches were good. Like I get the portion size might not have been enough for the boys, and I gave quite a lot of my food to Levi, the NFL player, because he was
Okay,
like
makes sense.
really deprived.
Yeah.
But I was just grateful that I wasn't cooking, I wasn't cleaning, someone else was doing my food, and it was all out of my control. So I felt really grateful for the food because I wasn't making. So I don't know. That's my take on it, and I loved it. It was like rice, and I had like tofu because I don't eat meat, but there was chicken, there was meatballs, there was good food. Matt, come on.
I have ulcerative colitis. So I have to eat like on a consistent basis, routine stuff that my stomach likes. And when I was eating the porridge, I literally had to pretend like it was a waffle. Like if you don't psych your mind out to think it's something else, you can't get it down. You have to porridge and drink the water really quick. So for
Yeah.
me, it just wasn't working.
Okay. So
We did get protein
tried-
bars, didn't we, sometimes? So
Yeah,
like
we had
if
to
it was a
hide the
long day.
I had to hide the protein bars, and I had to try to put it in the morning with my porridge. You have to.
That's what some
kind
people
of,
did.
you know, you got to figure out a way.
Sounds like prison a little bit.
It's worse. Worse.
Literally. To think you sign up for this is crazy, but hey, the prize is worth it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the food and really what it's like being in there, I think that one of the most exciting things about the Squid Game is the mystery around it. For those of us as viewers, there's so much that's still unknown about what it's actually like to be there and what the experience actually feels like. And so having gone through the process, was there anything that surprised you about the process or that you think audiences may not expect?
No, I think the only thing I would really like the audience to know and to have seen, and I think Mai has said this actually in an interview recently, is they didn't show enough of us having fun, right, Matt? Like, do you remember we played, I actually invented, which I'm really upset they didn't show because my kids would have been proud, the baseball. So I wrapped socks, and there were hair bands that we could use, and I put loads and loads of hair bands around them, and I actually managed to make a bouncy baseball ball. And then we played baseball. They taught me, Matt taught me, they all taught me how to play baseball with a shoe and the ball. And like that was so much fun. And it was everyone together. There were no egos. Everyone played, and it showed the solid friendships, you know, and the giggles. And I know Matt was really close with other people too. So I feel like it would have been nice for our personalities to have come out a little bit more, because I think when the edits happen, people cast judgment and, you know, comments on people and on social media on that clip that they've been shown without any substance to who that person actually is. And that can be hurtful, you know, sort of talking from my own experience. And I feel like had Matt, had me, had those players that were in there for a little bit longer been given, you know, a little bit of personality, might have been a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that's fair.
characterization is very important on this, and they really should take their time on season 3 to show the relationships. Look, if you go on there, you have to have the mindset that you're probably not going to win. I mean, the odds of getting on is hard, but so is winning the money. What you get to take away from there is meeting people from all around the world. You build relationships and talk to people you would never talk to on the street. You would think they're strange. You would think they're weird. You would just never say a word to them. But being locked in a bubble, you find the approach and the time to walk up to them and get to know who they are as an individual. And I think it's so important to show that how important it really is that when you step into the box, into this square circle, a round circle, or four walls, that you could take something out of it if you can't leave with the money. And that's friendship. You meet these beautiful people all around the world, and you should not hold on to that. You have to be someone that's willing to open up and talk about how you feel.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely. And having spoken with the twins, they said the same thing in terms of the dorms, what happened in the dorms, the friendships, like that wasn't shown. And they wish that that was the case as
Yeah.
well. But I think we all kind of know, because it's about building characters and building a certain narrative. They're probably choosing to kind of take that away. So it all just feels intense, and it all
Yeah.
just feels like you guys are out to, kill one another, quite literally, which, as you shared, is not really the case. So I think it's great to be able to hear that from your side. Let's talk about a few of the iconic moments. Okay, I think you know what's coming. During the lovely, fun and gentle game of slides and ladders, of course, you had a bit of a heated exchange with Perla.
Really? I'm so sorry. You can tell that to my son. Tell that to my son, she said.
But what I want to speak to is, can you tell us just how high pressure the environment actually feels in that moment, or how high pressure actually feels? Is it as intense as it feels for those of us watching at home?
Yeah, and do you know what, though? Again, like, there was so much that they didn't show. We had actually also been brought down, I think, previously, which they didn't show by Faith and Deja, or that might have happened again after. I can't remember one of the ways. I was feeling targeted at that point. So regardless of whether or not we had the advantage card, I felt like Perla and Zoe, or I know Zoe had gone by that point, but Deja, but we were just being targeted. And everybody knew why I was there. And I'm not saying that my situation is worse than anybody's. Absolutely. And everybody was there for their families. Chris spoke about it. Melissa spoke about it, so everybody had a reason for being there for their families. I just happened to vocalize mine. And as I say, I had talked about Rupert and his lung condition already. I think the reason I blew off, and I even maintain, like, I think it's whose eyes you look at my comment through, because I certainly know that my British counterparts and friends and older people who have perhaps families were like, well, it's not that bad. Tell that to my son. And also, it wasn't directed at Pearl. It was directed at the situation. It would have been whomever had taken me down. And to me, I am that person. I have ADHD. I don't think about what I say. It just comes out my mouth. And that just came out my mouth. Do I have any regrets? No, I don't. I don't regret making Perla feel like she did. But what that has done for the charity and the outreach of people and parents that have come to me and in my inbox and said, thank you so much for raising awareness, far outweighs the feelings, to be brutally honest with you. When I know what these parents and myself have to live with every day, there is no cure, there is no treatment. It is life limiting. I'm sorry, but I would repeat that comment again and again and again. And I think any parent of a child with a disability and a lifelong illness would feel the same.
I think it's helpful to kind of hear it from your perspective, especially the side of maybe how much you had been brought backwards in the game. Of course, we only see, that one move. So to us as viewers, it's like, this is only the first time that you guys have kind of, gone backwards. So it may have felt that the reaction wasn't warranted. But one thing I will say that I appreciate is we did see you apologize on the show to Perla straight after. And so for that's something that I think most viewers definitely would have appreciated.
Yes, and I meant that apology. Like, I did mean it to her. Like I said, I didn't mean to put the situation on her. It could have been anyone. So it was not against Perla. It was against the whole situation.
Sure. Okay, got you. So Slides and Ladders was a bit of a crazy one. We saw, of course, emotions kind of get the better of a lot of us, to be honest, on the show. I'd love to know from you, Matthew, what was maybe one of the favorite games that you played and why?
The favorite games that I played? I would say the favorite game that I played was the six-legged race. It took me out of my element. I'm used to winning by myself and trying and most likely getting it done, competing as an individual. Whereas here, I had to rely on other people to get me through to the finish line. And it really helped me search deep as an individual to take that away from the game, that it's okay to rely on others to help get you through. Whereas I used to have the mindset where I felt like it was always needing to be me to get it done. And I had a lot of fun getting through that finish line, relying on others. So I would say one of the best games and funnest games for me is the six-legged race, being attached to somebody else's leg and relying on each person to get us to the next step and across the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a game that you wish you got to play?
Yeah, I would have loved to play the ladder game, the slides and ladders. I really wish I would have played, but Katie had other plans for me, so I didn't get to play it. That's all right, Kate. That's all right. I'm
Hope you
kidding.
caught that shade there.
Also, do you know what? I'd love to clear something up whilst I also have got this opportunity.
Please.
That allegedly, I refused to play rock, paper, scissors in the room. I didn't refuse to play. Isaiah, who you're talking to later, will back me up on that.
Yeah.
I literally said, I don't know how we can play rock, paper, scissors with 3 people. And he went immediately, Max, you and me, and they just played it.
Yeah,
Another
that's the
player.
first time I'm hearing that story.
Yeah, so
I-
Karim made up
That's
a
the
story.
first time I'm hearing that. Because
Yeah.
when I saw Max for the first time, he was like, Kate didn't want to play. And me and him were just like, we got to play. And to me, when
No.
I heard that, I was like, for one, I knew Kate for a while. I backed her up on catch. Okay. And I believe that I really helped the team by opening my mouth. And that made me a target. But when I heard that she didn't want to play, of course I had animosity. I'm like, that's just not fair.
Yeah, I
That's
had
the
a go
first
at
time I'm hearing
Max.
that.
When we were in
Yeah.
LA and I heard that story came out, I said, where did that come from? They
That
were
was
both
from him.
really gentlemanly. And that's why I'm so emotional when Max goes, and emotional at the end. And I say to Isaiah, and you'll see it, thank you. Because I can tell you the way it was filmed was the way it happened. There was no moments of time in that room. It was literally like, you and me, let's go. And they did it. I didn't even have time to say, I don't want to.
When you go back on the show, when you guys get out of get back into the dorm, it's even referenced where they say, yeah, she didn't play her son, and that's all they kind of go to. They only put like a short line into it, so
Yeah.
it also made it seem like that too.
Yeah. I didn't refuse
Yeah.
to play. I literally
Thank you
said,
for
I don't know
clarifying.
how to play. So there we go.
Thank you for adding that context, Kate. I think having watched the show, I think we can all see, even especially from the moment between Isaiah and the person that eliminated him, I think it was 309. I
It's
can't remember the
Claire,
exact
yeah.
number. Thank you. We can see how the truth gets twisted. It's almost like rumors spread like wildfires in that show. Someone says one thing one way, everyone takes it and runs with it. And so that's the beauty of being able to have these conversations kind of post-show and kind of clear the air. So I appreciate you sharing that. Looking back on your journeys, if you were to go back and do it again, is there anything that you would do differently?
No. I'm really proud of everything I did. My family are really proud of me. My friends are really proud of me. And I think that is what matters most, is the people that know you. So no, I don't know, like maybe in hindsight, being aware of the edits they were going to make, you could kind of tell the story a little bit better. But no, I think I've got my head held high and I've got no regrets.
Yeah. So for me, somehow I got portrayed into some type of villain, whereas I could only see myself being the type of villain as Robin Hood, where you take from the rich and give to the poor. And this resulted from the game of catch. But I wouldn't change a thing from catch. Being from New York, if you make a promise, you're going to keep it or you're going to hear about it. So I wouldn't change a thing except for I would make sure I shook each and everybody's hand that I possibly could, because you want to at least get to know somebody, just even if it's just a little bit. You just want to get to know everybody as much as you can. So I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to everybody and say hello to everybody and introduce myself. There's so many great people that there were. But today, me and Kate could tell you, we're getting to know them more and more each day as we're becoming tighter and tighter.
That's beautiful to see. Yeah, for those of us kind of following you guys online, we're seeing like the friendship groups, and we're seeing some people say it even feels like a family, like one big family or a few different families. So that's beautiful to witness. And I will say, Matthew, in terms of how you handled catch, at the end of the day, you achieved what you hoped to, which was that he threw the ball to you. And I think that as a viewer, we were kind of rooting for you in that moment, because I put myself in your position. I was like, well, if someone suddenly changes up the plan, like anyone would want to like fight for their, their right to still have a go at the game. And you did that, and then you caught it.
Matt and I were on the same team, weren't we, Matt, as well?
This was about a 10-minute conversation, and I think he finally gave way when I turned around and you hear Katie in the back say, you got to stick with the plan. So, it takes more than just one person to finally help an individual be like, look, you're 4 feet away. You made a plan. You got to keep it. You're there for us and the team. And at that point, I feel like he kind of did damage to himself, even though he did stick with the plan. So
it was a very insightful episode for all of us, that particular moment. So Thanks for sharing that. As we draw to a close, finally, I think that it's important to be said that while Squid Game is a game, it is also your real lives that you are experiencing. And I can only imagine that there's so much about yourself that you are kind of forced to kind of realize or learn or rediscover. And so again, thinking back through your journey, what did Squid Game, the challenge, teach you about yourself? Maybe we can start with you, Kate.
Wow. What did it teach me about myself? I think I realized I'm braver than I am. And actually I'm okay. I love being out of my comfort zone. I think it probably taught my family more in a weird way because I was away for so long and I came back and I think they actually realized how important and pivotal I am in their worlds, because I think for mothers, I think for parents, but I say mothers because we're often the primary caregivers. You know, sometimes parenting can feel very unappreciated. And so I think actually they were like, wow, okay, mum does all of that. And actually the other thing I would like to say, like while I'm on here and I get the opportunity, I had to have a carer move in and I didn't know how long she was going to be here for to look after my son because my husband has a job. So, you know, there was a lot on the line for us. And obviously, like we're talking when we're there and when there's that pressure, you know, he could have got an illness at any point. I know they would have reached out to me. So I guess my other learning experience from that is that actually he's also going to be okay when I'm not around. Like he was okay without me. And that was a really nice thing because for, you know, 9 years, I've been his sole carer. And so it was that I think that, you know, things can go on even when I'm not there, and that they learn to appreciate me a little bit more, maybe.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope you also learn to appreciate yourself even more and how much work you do, right? Because motherhood can be such a thankless job as we often hear. And so I hope that you've walked away kind of seeing how much value you have as well. And how about you, Matthew? What did you take away from the show about yourself?
It really helped me get a better understanding of the quotation of don't judge a book by its cover, right? When you go in there, you kind of like try to formulate who you want to be around, who's like competitive, but you have to take a step back and realize that it's not just about your speed or your accuracy, but what you hold inside. It's not about your size or your shape. It's really taught me that, you know, open up to other individuals in life, not just in a game. And you never know who you're going to meet and what they can do for you as well as what you can do for them. I'm really grateful for the experience of Squid Games. I've made lifelong friends, and that goes a long way, even more so than $4.56 million.
Priceless.
I love that. I
Priceless.
echo that.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's so
Thank you
beautifully
for having
put.
us.
And it was an absolute pleasure to not just witness you on the show, but also even post just following your journeys and getting to know you better as people. And of course, through this interview, being able to do that has been a pleasure. So thank you very so much for joining us, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having us. Thank you.
See you later, Kate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That brings me to the end of this conversation, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure that you hit thumbs up. And if you'd like to hear more big talk, if you're a fan of DMCs, as deep meaningful conversations like I am, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button to get more from me and, of course, my wonderful guests. And until next time, see you in the next video.